History doesn't stay dead, it waits. Beneath every American street lies a heartbeat, pulsing with the stories we buried, the names we erased, the pain we pretend never happened. Some places remember more than others. Some places refuse to forget. In Charleston, South Carolina, there is a tea that can wake the past. It tastes like honey at first, then like iron, then like truth. They say if you drink it, the forgotten will find you. And once they do, they never let go. Part 1. Dark Historical Fantasy. They told Ava that history was dead, just stories in dusty books, memories no one could touch. But she knew they were wrong the night she tasted the tea. It was a cold evening in Charleston, South Carolina, when Ava Langley discovered the tea house. She had been searching for history, literally. Ava was not just an academic. She was an archaeohistorian, a seeker of buried truths, someone who believed that the past still vibrated beneath our feet. If a place held enough memory, enough sorrow, enough silence, it remembered. And something in Charleston remembered more than most. Ava arrived on a fellowship to study forgotten communities of the 18th, 19th century port city. Sailors, soldiers, enslaved men and women whose names were erased, their lives swallowed by time. She walked the cobblestone streets, breathing in salt wind and the distant creak of ships that still docked in the harbor. Gas lamps flickered above her, as if the city was breathing. She carried a leather satchel filled with maps and a notebook that belonged to her grandmother, a woman who used to whisper strange stories of America's secrets. Her grandmother once said, "History hides its heart in the places where no one wants to look." Tonight, Ava wandered where tourists never went. A narrow alley curled away from King Street like a secret thought. Moss-covered brick, an old iron gate, a wooden sign hanging crooked above a red-painted door. The Resonance Tea House, where the past still lives. Ava frowned. She had studied Charleston for months. She had never heard of this place. The bell above the door chimed softly as she stepped inside. It felt like walking into another century. Candlelight glowed warm against walls lined with antique tea crates, maps of vanished trade routes, and portraits whose painted eyes were too alive. A gramophone hummed a low, wordless melody. The air smelled of jasmine, cinnamon, and rain-soaked earth. Behind the counter stood a man, tall, silver hair tied back, clothes timelessly elegant. His eyes were the strange part, amber, like he had caught sunlight and kept it. "Welcome," he said. His voice was calm, ancient. "You look like someone who has lost something." Ava blinked. "I'm a historian. I'm actually looking for answers," he finished for her. "Aren't we all?" He placed a small menu in front of her. There were no prices, only names. Memory Brew, The Last Journey, Resonant Moon, Hidden Footprints, Legacy of the Forgotten. Each tea name felt like a question. Ava forced a laugh. "This place wasn't on any map I've seen." "It wouldn't be," the man replied. "We serve a different kind of traveler." She had planned to conduct archival research tomorrow. Dusty boxes, courthouse records, the usual. But something here tugged at her. "Which tea do you recommend?" His gaze sharpened. "For you, Legacy of the Forgotten. But understand this, Miss Langley. Our tea does not show you what you want to see. It shows you what the past wants you to remember. Her pulse jumped. How do you know my name? Your grandmother used to drink here. The world seemed to tilt. Ava gripped the counter. You knew her? When? She died years ago. He brought the teacup. Black porcelain etched with symbols Ava had only seen in old anthropology texts. The steam curled upward like searching fingers. She spent her final decade searching for a way to give voice to those history silenced. He set the cup before Ava. Drink, and you will see what she saw. The tea glimmered dark red. Ava hesitated. Is there a side effect? Yes, he said gently. Truth. She drank. The first taste was warm, sweet, honey and rose and smoke. But then the second wave hit, iron and salt, like blood mixed with ocean water. Ava gasped, and the tea house vanished. The Middle Passage, the transatlantic route where enslaved Africans were dragged into America's history as cargo. A man turned toward her, his eyes full of desperate pleading. Remember us, he whispered. You must tell our story. His voice echoed like thunder. Ava clutched her chest. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm not. The ship lurched. Screams tore the air. Ava fell and landed on solid ground. The tea had thrown her forward again. Now she stood in the heart of Charleston in 1804. She knew the period instantly from buildings that no longer existed in her time. Market Square was alive with merchants, sailors, and auction blocks. She watched a woman, young, terrified, lifted onto a wooden platform while a crowd inspected her like livestock. Ava's stomach twisted. She stepped forward, reaching out, but her hand passed through the scene like smoke. No one could see her. She was not a visitor. She was a witness. History wrapped around her like a shroud. The young woman's eyes suddenly snapped to Ava as if she sensed her anyway. Tears streamed down her face. You are the one who listens. Do not forget me. Ava stumbled back, heart hammering. I won't. I promise. The world flickered again. Now she saw soldiers in blue and gray facing each other across a battlefield soaked in mud. The Civil War. Charleston Harbor under cannon fire. Smoke blackened the sky. The boom of artillery pounded her bones. Men fell screaming, forgotten in seconds. A blood-soaked soldier crawled toward her, reaching, choking, gasping. Tell them we were here. Ava screamed and was back in the tea house, collapsing to her knees. Her breath came in ragged gulps. Sweat soaked her hairline, and tears she couldn't explain streaked down her cheeks. Her hands were shaking so violently she could barely hold the floor. The silver-haired man watched her with a quiet sorrow. These are the stories your grandmother could not finish, and now the past has chosen you. Ava tried to speak, but her voice trembled. Why me? You carry the burden of memory. He poured more tea, though Ava recoiled. History is shouting, and most people refuse to listen, but you can hear it. She stared at her trembling hands. What am I supposed to do? He leaned closer. Candlelight flickered in his golden eyes. Charleston is full of ghosts, locked beneath the streets, buried in records that were never written,
in stories that were stolen. You must help them, because memory denied," he paused, letting the silence speak, "becomes memory that haunts." A sudden gust snuffed the nearest candle. Shadows leaped. The portraits on the walls, the ones whose eyes had looked too alive, now stared directly at Ava, their faces wrinkled with old pain. A chill clawed down her spine. "You are not the first to drink our tea, but you may be the last." Ava stood, dizzy, overwhelmed. "This is impossible. None of that was real." "History is the most real thing we have, and now you've tasted it." He handed her grandmother's notebook.
The brass key tied to the notebook's spine gleamed faintly, as if it remembered someone's touch. Ava stared down at it, her heart pounding like a door someone was trying desperately to break through. "My grandmother? She came here?" Ava whispered. The silver-haired man nodded once, and she left with questions, far more than answers. He turned away, adjusting a candle. But that is how truth works. Ava slowly opened the notebook. The familiar scent hit her. Old paper and lavender. The smell of childhood memories when her grandmother read stories about hidden places in America. Only now, Ava realized those stories were not bedtime tales. They were warnings. Most pages were filled with elegant handwriting, maps, sketches, fragments of history that didn't appear in any textbook. Names of people nobody remembered, places that no longer existed. But the final page was different. Written shakily, the ink faded by time. "If you are reading this, the past has chosen you. The dead have waited too long. Find what was taken. Unlock what was sealed. But do not go alone. Nothing is more dangerous than a memory that refuses to stay buried." Underneath the writing was a symbol, a spiral inside a circle, crossed by a line like a wound. Ava touched it, and the symbol glowed faint amber, as though alive. She yanked her hand back. "What is this?" The man's expression grew solemn. A sigil, a keyhole, and a warning. He glanced at the door. "Charleston is layered, Miss Langley. Streets built on streets, homes built on bones. There are tunnels beneath the city, sealed off from history, from memory. Your grandmother believed something was hidden there, something powerful enough to change what we believe about this nation." A chill laced Ava's bones. What kind of something? The man rested both hands on the counter. Candlelight carved deep shadows into his features. He said simply, "Magic. Magic older than America itself." Ava's rational mind rebelled. Magic isn't real. History is real. Documents, artifacts, evidence. He almost smiled. You just witnessed history breathing around you. You heard voices that books never recorded. You felt the ship rocking beneath your feet. You saw war through dying eyes. Ava swallowed hard. That was just hallucination. The tea only opens the door. The past walked through on its own. Her pulse hammered in her ears.
The man finally introduced himself. "My name is Elias. I am the resident of this house. My duty is to preserve what memory cannot speak, unless someone like you is willing to hear it." Ava tried to steady her voice. "Why me?" He leaned in, voice low. Because your grandmother was close, so very close, and the past does not like to be left unfinished. The brass key rattled faintly, though no one touched it. A shadow slid across the window, blotting out the streetlight for a heartbeat. Ava turned toward it, nerves sparking. What was that? Elias's jaw tightened. Some memories do not want to be found. They follow the bloodline of those who can uncover them. A cold sweat formed between Ava's shoulder blades. His warning echoed. Do not go alone. But Ava had always gone alone, through research, through life, through grief. She closed the notebook with trembling fingers. I need to leave. Yes, Elias replied, but take the key and return tomorrow night. He paused. There is a guide you must meet, someone who can walk with you into places that remember too much. Ava grabbed her bag. Who? You will know them when the time comes. The bell above the door jingled as she stepped outside. The night air hit her face like a slap. Her lungs burned as she gulped in the real world. Except something was wrong. The alley looked older. Lanterns instead of electric lamps. No traffic sounds, only the distant crash of the sea. Ava spun around. The sign above the door no longer said the Resonance Tea House. It was blank, just cracked, rotting wood. Her heartbeat stuttered. She grabbed the knob, but the door wasn't there anymore. Only a solid brick wall met her hand. The tea house was gone. A whisper slithered through the darkness, a voice without a source. Remember us, Ava. She stumbled backwards, terrified. A shape emerged from the mist, the silhouette of a woman in 19th century clothing, wrists marked by iron shackles that bled into the shadows, her eyes hollow, pleading, fixed on Ava. You promised, do not forget me. Ava's legs nearly let out. I'll help you, I swear. The ghost nodded and faded into the night. Sirens wailed far away, suddenly modern again. A car horn, footsteps from a tourist somewhere on King Street. The present snapped back into place like a trap. Ava clutched the notebook to her chest and ran. She didn't stop until she reached her rented apartment, a small second-floor unit in an old building near the harbor. She slammed the door, locked it twice, then slid to the floor, shaking. She pressed her hand to her temple, praying the visions would fade. But they didn't. Instead, her mind replayed every cry she'd heard. Remember us. Do not forget me. Tell them we were here. The dead were speaking, and Ava was the only one who could hear them. She crawled to her desk and turned on a lamp. The brass key gleamed again, almost pulsing. The symbol in the notebook glowed faintly beneath the paper, as if something beneath the ink was alive. What did you get me into, Grandma? She whispered. A soft knock startled her. She froze. Another knock, slow, deliberate. She crept toward the door. Who's there? She whispered. No answer. She peered through the peephole. Nothing. Ava exhaled shakily and backed away. Tap. Her head snapped around. The tap wasn't at the door anymore. It came from the window. Something was pressed against the glass, something with fingers too long and a face blurred by darkness. It dragged its nails in a scraping line. Ava staggered back, fear crushing her lungs. Then the brass key jerked violently, snapping from the notebook and landing on the wooden floor. Then the window went silent. Ava crawled to the key, clutching it tight. Her grandmother's final message pulsed through her mind. Unlock what was sealed. Ava didn't sleep.
not even for a second. And just before dawn, she realized something terrifying. Charleston wasn't just a city built on history. It was a city trapped by it, and the ghosts were done waiting.